Yeah, I know. Thank God. Hi, everyone. Um, I'm Karina Coyne. I will be the new host for this new podcast for Healing Your Way. It's called Girls to Women. Here we'll be talking about a lot of like female issues or things about school or like fitting in school.
Can you hear
Period for the
me?
first time, sports and girls in sports, dating, birth control, anxiety of applying to colleges, going to college in general, which is something I'm currently going through. We'll be talking about women in culture around and women around the world of different cultures, expectations of your family on you, makeup and skincare stuff as well. Um, People who are married or have kids or are single parents. Um, Also, people going through menopause or retirement, and just women as professionals in general. Today will be like a short, kind of light day, just introducing me and my guest I have here with me. This is my mom, Meenal Patel. She's a hypnotherapist and she has gone through college life, which is the main topic of today. So I will be asking her for advice generally on, some things that have been going on in my life. Um,
Hello.
so let's get started. Recently, I just would like to talk about like college life, and I have moved in on campus and stuff. It's been a new experience, and I know a lot of people are or have been like struggling with the changes, kind of in a new environment or like living on campus. I've also had a few interesting situations with my professors as well, and I would just like to ask for some advice on that. Um, so some one of my professors has been kind of like a bit picking on me a little bit, kind of for my in my class. I feel like I'm not sure how to connect well or like impress her. Kind of. What do you think I should do about this?
Well, there are in college, it's interesting dynamics, especially this is freshman year, right? So, freshman year is an interesting thing that happens for everybody, every college, right? When you go in, there are reading classes, especially if they are classes in your major subject. They try to weed you out, and there's different ways they try to weed you out, making your tests harder, making your projects harder, making it harder for you to get a grade, or just giving you a hard time to see if you can deal with that kind of life. And some people are just going to do that because you know why? This is the first time you are walking away from home and learning to be yourself as an individual without the help or protection of your parents, right? So when you're away and then there's somebody else that's older than you who's in charge of you in a way for your class, right? They take advantage of that to see, are you able to handle it, right? There's a lot to handle. Now you're maturing. You're growing to be a different person. It's a hard time in a way. It's a lot of changing. It's exciting being independent for the first time, right? But it's also scary when people like your professors who you are looking up to treat you that way. And I think the best thing to do is everybody's always looking for love and attention. Doesn't matter who it is, always looking for love and attention. Always respect everybody. Always approach your professors nicely. Hello, professor, whatever the name is. Hope you're having a good day, and sit down and do it genuinely. Don't do it in a fake way, you know, because you can tell when somebody's fake and disgenuous. And the goal is to be honest, straightforward, fake, and pleasant. I mean, sorry, not fake and pleasant, right? You want to be honest, genuine, and pleasant. And when you do that with a professor, they know you're actually just being there, and it doesn't matter what attitude they throw on you. Um, you're just going to be there and you're going to come the same way every time, being unaffected. If somebody knows that their behavior doesn't affect you, they can't keep doing it. It's useless, right?
Right. Yeah. This
Yeah.
is something that's been like bothering me for a while, but I do I will take this advice. Um
Mhm.
Another thing, that's been going on is like, social kind of like, in my social life. And it's kind of this is something that a lot of people don't understand typically about me is that when I'm hanging out, I guess spending time with people, I tend to pick up their energy. Like if they're not
Mhm.
feeling well or if they have like health issues, I tend to begin to, I guess, get sick around them, if that makes sense. It's almost like it drains me in a
Yeah.
way, especially what my issue was with my roommates when I first moved in was the one roommate had like a very sensitive stomach, but she would always eat unhealthy foods like the entire day while she was there. And
Mhm.
um, I would notice that every single time I was in the room with her, especially, no matter if I ate or not, or if I, just had some water, I would immediately get a very bad stomach ache. It would pretty much
Yeah.
go on the entire time I was there. And this is something that I still like struggle with kind of now, even now that I've moved out of that room and have noticed such a big difference like in my like mental health as well because I'm now noticing I'm getting better sleep, especially out of that room. How do you think I should deal with this like type of situation moving forward? Because I know I'm going to be like going through this a lot more probably, whether it's in with other roommates or, with other people in class.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
this is
the
like a
thing.
recurring issue.
Yeah, because this is not something that we talk about it. You and I talk about it.
Yeah.
Why? Because I deal with that same problem, picking up other people's energy and health issues, and without even realizing it, right? You don't realize till it's too late. You don't realize till that girl gave you got a stomach ache because of being around that girl, right?
Right.
It's not like you knew, hey, this if I'm spending too much time with this person, I'm gonna get a stomach ache.
Right.
That was yeah. So it's usually too late by the time you realize what's happening. And you don't even know sometimes whether it's you or somebody else, right?
Mm.
So what happens is you got to do a little research and go, who around here is having a stomach ache? Or who around me is having a headache? Let me see, and pay attention.
So be like a
So,
little more observant, I guess, of what's going on
yeah,
around me.
yeah, that is one major thing you can do, but that just lets you know who's having the problem, right? I mean, you can't tell them you're having a headache or a stomach ache. I can't be around you, move away.
Right. Do you recommend I
Mhm.
just like kind of try to like try to stay away from them or like how do you think I should like,
Yeah.
protect myself?
Yeah, exactly. I would suggest to like keep a little bit of distance. Sometimes these people are your friends, right?
Yeah.
And the question is, how do you keep away from that? And most people don't even realize this is even happening. Most people who are sick don't even realize why they're sick, and they're probably picking up a lot of energies they don't even know, right? I
Right.
mean, only reason that we know about it is this is the kind of work we do at Healing Your Way. If you're not doing this kind of work, you're 90% of the population doesn't know. So you're walking amongst people who have health issues. They're unaware of what's going on. They're unaware of how they impact other people. One of the ways, actually, honestly, is to be strong in your energy and say, you know what? Nothing can disturb me, to be strong in yourself, be a strong female. you know, because women are trampled on a lot. We get taken advantage of. We take, that's just women nature. I'm not saying that we are abused, anything like that. I'm just saying that what happens for women, it's just a mentality or an energy. I don't know how to call it, but women pick up a lot of slack, right? You
Right.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Women in the house, if something's going wrong, then mom will always take care of things, right?
Right.
Dad does this job, but mom will take care of everything. It's just the way it is. And because it's that way, you end up taking a lot of stuff on that's not even yours. It's just natural. And because of that, what we need to do is stand up in our own power or in your own self, in your own being as a person and say, you know what? No, I'm not taking anybody else's energy. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm not gonna take it, you know? And when you stand in your own power and put that uh, mentality out there, put that thought out there, um, it kind of affects other, that should change. Because when you walk in power, if you're walking down the street, you see someone when you're walking down the street on campus, right? Or anywhere on campus, you can look around and see who has confidence and who doesn't, right?
Right. Yeah. It's very envious.
Yeah. It's in the way they walk, the way they stand, the way they talk, right?
Right.
Okay. So, same thing. You can tell those who are confident, those who are not confident. So, the way you walk is with confidence and with power, not mean power, but kind, gentle power that does not give space for others to push them around.
Right. So you're
Right.
saying that like almost like having a weak mindset, not a, or weak mentality almost is like bringing in all this like negative energy.
It allows it.
Okay. So you so just even like this slight change in like mentality or like kind of like the you deciding to not accept this like energy
Yes.
anymore would really make that much would like make a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. You tell me, if you approach a professor and you're not confident and professor asks you a question and you're not confident, how would they react versus you walk in with confidence and answer, approach the professor that way and answer their question that way? Which one gets more respect? I can't hear you. I lost you. Okay. I don't know what happened. I can't hear you.
Um,
Oh, now I can hear you. Go
okay,
ahead.
it must be
What
the
did you
bad
say?
connection.
Yeah.
I said I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that seems like I definitely need to try doing that because that seems like something I like me and I think a lot of other people in college right now struggle with, especially um, because like we're first years, the new environment and everybody's kind of going in unsure and like
Mm-hmm.
I guess insecure you could say would be
Yes.
probably the right word. And um it's almost like a just a place for filled with mental breakdowns if I'm being honest. But
Yeah,
um
of course.
uh I mean, like, there's, I guess, the professors who are not always, the most helpful, but I have noticed that there are definitely some that are probably going to be your best friends, like throughout the whole semester, especially.
Yeah.
Um, and like, I feel like another thing that I was struggling with was also um, kind of separating academics and friends, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like, recently I've been having another problem with this friend I have who's in most of my classes, but
Mhm.
I feel like she's kind of dragging me away um, from like paying attention in class and stuff, and kind of like actually learning the material. And I don't know how to kind of say no and separate myself because I consider her a friend. What do you
Mhm.
recommend I should do here?
Yeah, just like said, stay away in some ways. Stay away in certain spots where when you are in your classroom, you want to do well, right?
Right.
So stay away in your classroom where you can be successful and it doesn't affect your academics, right?
Okay.
Now, outside of that, if you've got a busy schedule, you also don't want to spend too much time with that person, right?
Right.
Because if you've got a busy schedule and you got to run from one place to another and spending time with that person makes you sick,
Right.
you don't want to spend time with that person, right? You
Yeah.
want to you want to be healthy for your entire day. So know that okay, this day is not a day where I can spend time with this girl, with this or whatever whoever the friend is, and you can make time in other days for her, right? If it's whoever your friend is, sorry. I'm assuming it's a girl, but
Yeah.
um either way, make time for the friend on days when it's not crazy busy and not on days not during class, right?
Right.
And then when you approach them, use the same mentality, right? Strong mentality, being confident in yourself, not accepting any energy that is hers, and making sure when you're around her that you're properly hydrated, you had enough rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
So
if
extra
you,
taking care of myself, kind of like
yeah, mm,
dotting my I's and crossing my T's, if
yeah,
that's saying.
yeah. Because imagine if you've got a crazy day, you're sick yourself, and then you approach that girl. Oh my God, right?
Right.
That's going to be crazy. That's going to make your life worse. So if you are healthy and you approach that person in that way, you may have a different interaction. And then the more you do that, it becomes a habit where you're approaching people, you're taking care of yourself, and you're remembering to be healthy. And now you understand that if I'm always healthy, it doesn't matter who's in front of me. And then you realize that whenever I'm not healthy is when I'm not feeling well around other people. So I'm going to do my best to be healthy, right?
Right.
I think we have some comments in the chat. Hold on. Vichet says, you have to have a mindset where you are better than everyone, but still treat everyone with respect. Very
Right.
true.
Yeah, that's very true. You have to
And
be
he also,
humble while also being um not
yes,
selling yourself short.
yes. And he says, W's in the chat to my aunt and little cousin. Thank you for being here, Vichet. Uh, so he's on the chat for us. Thank you. Appreciate you being there.
How many do you think this is like a very like common issue? Like I know you're a hypnotherapist as well as like a general therapist as well. Do
Mhm.
you seem to like find a lot of people who have these types of like I guess issues or like situations in college as well?
Yeah, you mean for everything that we've talked about so far, or just the energy issue and the being sick issue?
Let's say everything we've talked about so far.
Ah, well, honestly, let me tell you. So for myself, I didn't know what I was going to get into when I went to college. No idea. Was not exposed to anything. Parents didn't know because they were from India, right?
Right.
So when I went to LaSalle University, not too far from where you're going right now, and didn't know what it was going to be like being a roommate with somebody else. But man, oh gosh, the roommates I had, it was crazy. My first roommate was a chain smoker. I had secondhand smoke from that girl. And it was allowed back then, so she could do whatever she wanted right in my room. And so back then, it's not like these days where you are allowed to switch your roommates. No, for example,
Right.
like you didn't have the best experience in the first couple of days because your roommates were expecting to not have
Yeah.
a third roommate, right?
Um the situation was I currently go to Thomas Jefferson University, the East Falls campus, and I'm in the mechanical engineering program. And I applied to be in the all girls dorm, and it turns out they accepted a lot more students this year. So
Mhm.
a lot of people um, were like, kind of shoved into a room. They added, I believe, um, all the rooms that were doubles became either quads or triples. So they just took a pairing of two people who wanted to room together and put a third person in there, and they
Mhm.
did not notify anybody. And I've also heard that a lot of those people who are in those situations have had like a lot of similar trouble with their, getting along with their roommates, or their roommates not being good people, kind of,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But
Yeah, and it was unexpected, right? So at least you're able to change and you've had success being able to be placed in a room for yourself, right?
right,
Um, and which is good for your health. That means you're not impacted by the one girl that was in your room who was sick.
right,
Um, we didn't have that. We were stuck with the roommate. Yes, we could talk to the RA and we could get moved, but it wasn't heard of often, you know?
yeah,
It was those rare cases and you just live with whoever you were with. You dealt with dining. I was a vegetarian and I had to deal with whatever food was there, and there were not many options back then for vegetarians. It was just a hoagie or a salad, which isn't much different, right?
right,
A salad on a bread. And it was, this was a situation back then, but we had to deal with roommates just like you're dealing with. Um, yes, there were a lot of craziness with our the class that you're with, with the other college students. And then professors are the same. It's different in college than in high school. High school, what happens is you got your classes, you've got your assessments, your homeworks, and you got a lot of opportunities for your grades, right? And the teachers have to just give you assignments that have like almost like a one answer, one word answer, or circle choice, or whatever it is, but easy. Uh, some of them have to be explanatory, but not everything, right? You get into college, everything's subjective. It's
right.
not it's not like it used to be where it the answer is the answer. Here, you have to give the answer the professor's looking for, you know? You like you've experienced that, right?
I have experienced that, and surprisingly, in classes, um, both about English and more subjective subjects, and subjects like chemistry, and which is not exactly. I would not say that's a subjective subject.
No.
Um, but what would you recommend I do? Do you think I should just like you said earlier, like kind of um just be nicer to the professor, or should I like see them after class for like
Yeah.
their office hours, or what do you think I should do?
Yes, definitely, going to office hours if you've got things going on, definitely go to office hours. Check on talk to your professor, ask what are you looking for? You know, because if you don't know what they're looking for, how are you going to know what to put down if
Right.
it's that subjective? If do you want one decimal point or two? You
Right.
know, because that is
Yeah.
important.
That makes a
You
big,
know,
very big difference in the points you
yeah,
get on your quizzes and tests.
yeah. It's that simple, but that's what you got to say. And you got to ask, And so having that extra interaction, the professor gets to know that you are proactive, that you're paying attention, and that you care.
Right.
And that's very important because otherwise you're getting your grade and you're not going to the professor, tells the professors like they don't care about the class. And if you're not attending class and your attendance isn't good, that's another sign to the professor. Well, they're not even showing up in class. They don't care. They don't want to learn. They didn't ask me if they understood, if they had any questions, and if they didn't understand any, I don't know. So it's always important to have a good relationship with your professor, to talk to them, ask all the questions. That's what they're there for. You guys have office hours now, which was harder for us. We didn't have so much office hours. You also have a lot of Google and ChatGPT, which in my day there was no such thing.
Right.
So, for us it
So
was getting together in lounges to figure out the answer.
right. So I heard that you may have had some professors like these. What did you do, or kind of what sort of happened in your situation, like when you had to, I guess, still go to these classes, and you didn't have the option to drop it? What would you do to kind of stay on track?
You know what? I I wanted to succeed. I wanted to do well, and I was committed, right? That's very important. What do
Right.
you want? If you don't want those things, then it is what it is. But if you want to succeed, you want to stay in track, and you want to do well, go to the professor. Go over your tests, go over everything. What I used to do was take my notes very thoroughly, and then I'd review my notes all the time and know them. And then if there's questions I didn't have, I'd tally them up. So before it was time for a test, like maybe a week or so in advance, when I had most of my notes, then I would go to the professor and ask the questions. But that was when I understood most of it. Then I go ask only the questions I didn't understand. But if you have a subject like math or chemistry where you're going through problems that if you don't understand the problems you're doing at that current moment, then you can't understand the rest. You need to go into office hours more often than not. And going into office hours, staying on top of everything, I think is my best advice to that. Have that relationship with your professor so you can talk about it and you can get to know it. And they can get to know you, you can get to know them. Because for me, what happened was first test for me was a trial. You know, I'm trying to understand what the professor wants. So I will be 100% prepared, but I'm prepared to know that I may not get the best grade only because I don't know what kind of questions they will be asking, right?
Right.
So once I know the first test, now I know how they're going to test and what kind of questions. So then I study that way, but I also go and ask the questions accordingly to the professor. No, hold on. I
Yeah.
think we have some more comments in the chat here. Um, ah, it's Vichet, and he says, "Don't feel bad to say anything, to saying no if you don't want to." Let me read the whole thing again. Don't feel bad to saying no if you don't want to and or feel like hanging out. If they make you feel bad and make you feel left out, then those are the people you shouldn't associate with. So he's referring to hanging out with your friends. And
Right.
then he also says a real friend should understand how you feel and what you have to deal with. So they should never pressure you ever. Good points. All
These
good
are
points that he's
these are
got.
good points because I was just about to speak on another situation that kind of led to. But um, so you think, getting back to the topic, you think that office hours will make a big difference? Like, kind of like, is it more so getting to know your professor and like creating connection, or is it just more so to know their like teaching style, or do you think like all of these things will just um kind of bring you a better grade altogether? Like,
Okay, before you go for, let me ask you a question,
right.
right?
Hmm.
Um, if you know all your information, are you going to get a good grade?
Most likely, yes.
Yes, but if you know know all your information, but you don't know how the professor is going to ask your question, are you going to get a good grade?
Um, maybe not.
Exactly.
It's a 50-50, probably
Yeah,
less.
right. Maybe.
Okay. So you suggest like the more I go to office hours, the more I will like. I guess it's not so much. The more I will like learn kind of about the professor, what they're looking for, their teaching style, and that's going to kind of help me fully
Yeah.
understand whether I know the information or not. Just going is gonna kind of teach me more about how to
Yes.
go about their tests. Okay.
You got it. It's not about knowing the professor. It's not about making nice. It's not about anything else. It's about you getting a good grade or being successful or knowing the information. Actually, that's the most important part about going to class, right? Is
Right.
about knowing your information. And the only way to know your information and what the professor's looking for is if you go to office hours.
Right. Okay.
And because remember, when you go after college, the whole point of college is to prep you for work, right?
Right.
If you go to work and you're working for somebody and you don't know what your boss wants, what are you going to do? How do you approach that? You have to know your
Right.
boss, right? Ask the
Hmm.
boss, what do you want? And that's where, and I think we have another comment here on the chat. Let me see. Ah, Joshan Coin says, what are good places to study? And should I study with a group or by myself? Is it different from person to person?
From my experience, although it hasn't been that long, I think it more so depends on who you are as a person. Kind of, it's you kind of just have to look at yourself and see if the people you're with, if you choose to study in a group, you have to really look at it objectively and if see if you're like the people you're with are truly, studying with you and you're actually getting stuff out of the study sessions. Like if
Mhm,
you can see that, you know, you're actually learning stuff and um improving in your I guess knowledge about the
mhm,
subject, then
mhm.
I would say that that would keep working. That would like work for you as a way of studying, but I really think that you should as just know the people you're with and um just know kind of don't make excuses for them if that makes sense. Like don't be like,
Yeah.
oh, because they're my friend, I'm gonna study with them. And then you say you no matter how like you spent like a 2 hour session studying with them
Mhm.
and you come out of it knowing not remembering anything, knowing nothing. I don't think that's a good idea to, I guess, do in the long run because you're kind of sacrificing yourself and your grades and everything just to spend time with your friends, which I don't
Yes.
uh I wouldn't recommend. What do you think works? What does work for you in your personal experience?
For me, what I did was I like studying on my own because there's no distraction. But before a test, I would study with people. They would always ask right before the test, "Hey, you want to get together and study?" Sure. But it was nice because we just study together, and we wouldn't really talk. We'd be doing our own thing. But what would happen is if any of us had a question, uh, we could ask any of the people present in front of us. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we were kind of individually studying, but we were in the same space, which was
Okay.
nice. If you can find a group of people where, especially right before a test, you have questions to ask, things you may not know or not understand, you kind of understand most things. If you have a group like that, um it's good because you'll motivate each other to do the studying, and
Yeah.
stay focused, right? And spend that much time in a day consistently doing the studying because we would do studying for hours at a time,
Right.
um otherwise I like to study by myself unless there's um for physics or chemistry or probably math or something like that. At that time, you're doing problems. It's good to study in a group and tackle problems together, you
Okay.
know? So we did it by subject, but again, what you said makes sense. Do not be, do not, I didn't like to study with lazy people and people who, you know, the group I had always stayed on track.
Right.
So that's very important that whoever you study with, that everybody's on track. Otherwise, don't study with them,
Yeah.
And I think we got a couple more comments here in chat. Hold on one second. I have Amory who says hello, and Amory says, and I'm not like that. Yes, so she's probably a good person to hang out with and study with or whatever you need. So, yeah, so I think finding people like-minded students.
Right. And I also had another question about this. I know I myself sometimes do this, but I've also heard this from other people. Like they will study in a group and it will be about the right subject, and it's not that the people like in the study group are not focused on the subject. It's more so that one person has a higher understanding of the subject versus another person, and like kind of the
Mm.
study session turns into a one-way teaching session. What would you recommend? I like, what do you think would be like a way out of the situation, kind of, so you're able to also learn as well as the other person?
Yeah, that's not the best person to be studying with, you know,
So you,
unless
yeah,
you're done all your studying or you know your information and you're just reviewing it.
okay,
At that moment, if you're with the other person and they may need your help, you can actually that can be actually very helpful for you, right? Because
learning
now
how to
you're
teach someone.
yeah,
Got it.
if you can teach someone, that's the best way to study. Because if you know it, that's great. But if you taught it to somebody, now that's ingrained in
Right.
your being. So now when you go to take the test, you're like, oh, I taught it to the other person. This is easy.
Hmm.
So if you already know your information at that moment, go and study with someone where you're just reviewing before a test. Go study with that person. But otherwise, I would not do that. Then study with somebody who's at your level, or
Okay.
go study with your teacher in office hours until you get it right.
Right. I feel like this comes back to like a big issue, kind of being able to say no, which is something I
Hmm.
personally struggle with a lot, especially in settings where it's like, people are they're like people who I consider are my friends, or they're very nice, and I like find it hard to say no. You know this,
Yeah.
that this is one of my biggest issues,
Hmm.
um, especially recently,
Hmm.
um, with one of my friends
Hmm.
where we were in class together. I believe I spoke about this earlier. Um, the felt like I was sacrificing my academics to kind of sit with this person in class a
Hmm.
little bit, and also um, I'm currently in this issue right now. This happened maybe like a few days ago, um,
Hmm.
and I don't know how to let this person know that like I would like to move away from them in class, or in that like I would like to separate us kind of while we're in class. What do you think I should? How do you think I should go about this?
One good way may not be the best way is come into class separately from this friend, right?
Right.
If you come separately and you come last, not being late, but if you walk in slowly and you're hanging out until it's time and she's in there and she's already sat down, now you're not sitting next to her. You're going to be somewhere else because maybe all the seats are taken, right?
Right.
Or she's already sat down. Now you get to choose where you're going to be for whatever seats are remaining, right?
Right.
Um, you got to do this slowly because you don't want to upset her if she's a friend, and you're not trying to push her away. You're
Mhm.
just trying to be healthy and take care of yourself, right?
Right.
So this is not about making somebody feel bad. This is about you finding a way to be healthy. And you can always ask your professor to seat you separately or somewhere else, a little bit distant away. And or get up and walk away, you know,
Right.
get up and just say, hey, I just want to sit over there for now so I can hear better, you
Okay.
know. And or just get up and walk away and then later on address it. You don't have to tell them in the middle of a class or class about to start. You just, yeah, I'm going to sit over there.
Okay.
And then, you know, because it's not about them. Your journey is about you. Freshman year, you may know that person this semester. Next semester, you might not even know them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true.
Yeah. And by the end of this 4 years, you're going to have different friends. Just look at your brothers and the friends that they cycled through.
Yeah.
Not that they're not friends with the people they met in the beginning. They just hang out with other people. So feeling mentally that you're committed to the people in front of you doesn't make sense. The only person you should be committed to is yourself.
Okay.
And don't take it personally.
Okay. So I
If they
should.
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, if they take it personally, just say it's not about you. I just need to do what I need to do. I just want to do well and focus and listen. That's it.
Okay. So you're saying like even in like the bigger, I guess, scope of things, I should just see it as like setting boundaries kind of versus
Good way to say it. Yes.
I guess pushing trying to like, being mean or like pushing them away.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Setting boundaries, but also putting you first.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Your priorities come first because this is about you going to college.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You're paying money to go to school and succeed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah. It's not about friends.
Okay.
Okay. And you can
Yeah.
tell them nicely, look, I'm going to school to do well and succeed. Friendship will come. And if we're meant to be friends, we'll still be friends.
Right.
You know? I think we
Yeah.
got a comment in the chat. Hang on a second. Joshin says, what are some responsibilities you didn't know you had to worry about until you'd started college?
I'm pretty new to this like experience still. This is like my third week. But I I guess it's more like, remembering to like move enough, like take care of yourself, like take your supplements in the morning, kind of having a good routine, I feel is very, very important. Um as like, I mean, I find it hard to like, keep now. Um but making sure you have enough time for your schoolwork and study in your studies, and that you're not putting, social interactions over your academics, and that you're really keeping yourself in line, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
um what do you feel has like in your experience, like even through like your grad school as well, like what was something that like you found was the most important to keep you afloat?
So, for me, it was I was motivated. I loved grad school, you know. I went to Jefferson too, actually, and I love grad school. Undergrad, I, not as much. So, that was just my experience because also undergrad was a different experience for me. My parents paid, a lot of things were going on at that time. But grad school, I paid for my school. I wanted to go. I was motivated and I wanted to succeed. So there was nothing going to stop me, you know, and I did really well. I kept myself focused. I kept myself on track, studying. Um, you know, the things that are always hard to do is eating the right meals is what I struggle with in grad school. But I struggle with that always. Eating enough food, eating good, healthy food. I did figure it out, but that was very important because eating right is important for your health and for your success in school too. Because if you don't eat right, and don't eat enough, you can't focus in class. You'll
Right.
be tired. You can't focus. So grad school, everything went faster than undergrad. So it's interesting because you go to high school And you think, oh, this is speeding up because in middle school or in elementary school, everything was much slower. But when you get to college, things seem you got a lot more work, and you go through a lot more chapters in a day, right? Than you
Right.
do in high school. Well, forget it. In grad school, the professor's talking so fast, you have to record in order to know, hear everything they're saying,
Right. Yeah.
because they're talking so fast. So, it was like that. So you had a lot of work to do to try to say, what the heck did he say? And I'd record my classes and spend a lot of time going back and reviewing all the information. But I enjoyed it. So for me, that wasn't a challenge, but I can understand a responsibility. I'll speak as a mother, actually. I see that when kids are home, I have to wake them up. The alarms may go off 5 times and they still
Yeah.
don't get up, right?
Yeah. Right.
I find it's different when they're at school. They get right up and they get going and they get ready on time and nobody tells them, right?
Right. That did happen this morning.
Mhm.
Yesterday I woke up at like, 8 o'clock. Today
Yeah.
she had to come wake me up at like 12:30, to remind me to kind of get my day started. But to answer the question, or the comment that I didn't really feel I fully answered that question. Like some responsibility, I guess the responsibilities are like to make sure you're eating healthy, like you were saying, making sure
Mhm.
you're like sleeping well enough, because that's something
Yes.
I've recently find that is a really hard thing for me to do, because of my major being a little more on the rigorous side. I find it hard kind of trying, well, one, trying to balance my social life as well as academic studying time.
Mhm.
Um, that's something I find hard to balance. And because of that, I end up staying up till like 3 or 4 in the morning still, um, and still like rushing to get assignments done while also trying to get enough sleep where I'm not, where I'm able to pay attention to my classes. And another thing I find hard to do is kind of like making sure I'm eating on time,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Right, like not waiting till the last second before I'm about to crash, or
Yes.
just not skipping my meals and making sure I'm actually eating real food over, just some snacks that I want to like pick up and call food that I'm eating all throughout the day.
Yeah.
Because
Agree.
yeah,
Mhm.
I find like a lot of people tend to, I've seen it a lot, especially on campus, that like, a lot of people skip out on eating, whether it's for, food health, or like the food not being, or agreeing with their stomach, or just, them wanting to do multiple things at once. But I feel like you do, like, I don't feel like I personally have too many new responsibilities that I didn't notice. It's kind of you know just the basic necessities, like, food, sleep,
Yeah.
um and schoolwork is pretty much the big three. But I also would like to say that good food is something that I notice has made the biggest difference in my kind of lifestyle recently. Because before, I have a very sensitive stomach. I have like leaky gut, or it's like a you could say I have IBS basically. But um before this I've before this week, I was having to eat like the food on campus, which the food itself isn't bad. It's just it had most of it has dairy and gluten, and it was kind of hard to go around that while also trying to eat like a proper meal. And the only thing they had, like, other than that was like salads, but that was never, that would also be something that, if I had my period, it would be too cold for my stomach and would also give me an upset stomach, which um, eating cold foods on your period, I don't think is a good thing to do. um,
Definitely
but
not.
you said that there was like, you didn't, like, as a vegetarian, you couldn't kind of go around that um, lifestyle. But
Um,
uh, um, what did you kind of just like try to stick it out, or was it like um
it was terrible, actually. It was horrible because you know why? Being an Indian person, we have lots of flavor in the food, right?
Right.
There's so much flavor in Asian food general. And going to LaSalle University back then, hoagies, not much flavor.
Yeah.
Okay. Salads, it's whatever you put in, and again, it's all good and healthy, but the flavoring is just a dressing. If you add some in it, back then I didn't really like dressing, so I never had dressing. I would put cottage cheese instead.
Yeah.
But that was it. If they had pizza, they had pepperoni on their pizza, so I couldn't eat the pizza. And sometimes pasta. There's really not that much flavoring. You know,
Okay.
I'm looking for spice.
Yeah.
There's really none. So it was so bad trying to look for spice. I dump a lot of salt in my food and eat salty food because there was no flavoring. And the only thing there was black pepper. Like, how much black pepper can I put in my food?
And
And
black pepper doesn't. That really does not have much of a taste, if I'm being honest.
no, and there was no hot sauce, no nothing. So it was crazy. Then that's what the food was like. It was very flavorless, bland for somebody like me. And if I asked for food service, the health services to get like dining to accommodate, which they would try, they're like, okay, well, you have to order like 30 minutes, let them know 30 minutes advance. So what they'll do is they'll bake your special vegetarian thing, cook your special vegetarian plate. I said, okay, fine. So every time I did that, they would make me something with tuna or fish. And I had no idea they were gonna do that. And I go bite into it and I'm eating fish. And that was the worst thing. And because I didn't know that I have to tell them that it's vegetarian and non-fish
Right.
things, you know?
They just assume you're a pescatarian, I
Yeah.
guess.
And I did tell them again. I said, no, don't, please don't make me the fish stuff because I don't eat fish. And still, every now and then, and it wasn't often that I'd ask for it, they still make the fish for me. And I don't know until I bite into it. So it wasn't really, I just
It
ate
was
whatever they had.
okay.
It was better to do that.
I was just wondering because I would just like to share my like recent experience of how I kind of like got out of it, and I was just wondering like just kind of like the differences between then and now. Um,
Mhm.
Now I do think you should bother dining about any food sensitivities you have, because I did bring it up to them, and they gave me an option to uh, they gave me an email, and they said just send whatever I would like to eat throughout the whole week, a week in advance, and they were very helpful with it. And even now, like, I felt so much more focused, and I had so much more energy to like actually retain the information in my classes, um, which was something that like I guess like when you don't have enough food, especially, I feel like I have like a foggy brain kind of as well. But I think like now, something that I do recommend people should do is really if you're really having an issue with the foods, they can 100% do something about it. Um, and that you should definitely go to like the dining office or the accommodations office or whatever it is, um, and and ask for a change, or not a change in your food, but um,
Ask them to accommodate.
right, yeah. Ask them to like accommodate for your needs, which they can definitely do. And another thing I was going to ask you about was I know you're very active in your your like high school and college years. And it's something that I currently struggle with trying to fit in my schedule, like going to the gym or staying active, because the only thing I can do is like, you know, walk in between like in between, my classes and walk from
Mhm.
class to class. But how did you manage to stay very like, in shape and kind of fit that in your schedule?
You know what? In I used to love to run, right?
Yeah.
And running was my thing. I did it early in the morning. So for me, I would get up around 6 o'clock or whatever to go running. And LaSalle University had a track on campus.
Right.
So I just go on the track, and it was in a safe spot. So I just go on the track and do my run. And besides running, they did have a gym, and I'd go use their gym every now and then. They had some what do you call it, intramural sports or whatever.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and I participated in soccer and volleyball. That helped me stay active. I lifted weights, but I wasn't much into it when I was in undergrad.
Hmm.
And what else did I do? I love to play tennis. They had lots of tennis courts there, and you can use them as a student. And I'd have a friend or a partner who I would just say, "Hey, would you like to go play tennis?"
Right.
And so we'd make time. I spent a lot of time on campus. I was there on the weekends. So if you are a student that's there on campus, because it seems like you have a busy schedule during the week, and then you're trying to keep up with your schedule, trying to get your schoolwork done, keep up with everything, and but you're not there on the weekends, right? If
Right.
you're but you just started. But I used to be there on the weekends. So the weekends, nothing was going on 2 days straight. And Friday, once your classes are done, you may have an early Friday. You
Right.
got
Yeah.
almost 2.5 days right there. Fridays, I would take my break Friday evening. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a break and go play. I go play tennis with a friend or do something like that. I put in a lot more. That'd be 3 days straight that I would have enough time to work, do my schoolwork, and be able to go out there and do my athletic activities,
Right.
without having to worry and actually enjoy them. And so that's what I did was 3 days out of the week. And then if there was another day or two in the middle that it wasn't too busy, I would do it that day. So I'd space it out like that. When I was in grad school, there was a gym right there close by that I loved to go to. And at that time, I was lifting weights and doing everything. And I would go daily to the gym, um, usually after school. And they were open till later. And it was not a problem because it was just basically 1 block away.
Yeah. That's not too
So,
bad.
yeah, that's not too bad, right? So, there I made time, schedule was different. I think right now in an undergrad, it's very important to get everything done, because I'll say this straight out for everybody listening or whoever will listen in the future. Undergrad is very, very important, right? Because undergrad, you have to finish, you'll get a degree, and then you got to look for a job or you're going to go to grad school. Okay. If you're going to grad school and you want to have an MBA, or you want to have a law degree, or you want to be a doctor, or whatever you want to be, you don't have that degree yet in undergrad. You got to work hard, right? Once you're in your grad school, do well, right? But
Right.
what they call the last, even the bottom student in medical school, you know what they call them?
What?
A doctor.
Yeah. True.
You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter as long as you pass and you don't fail out, and you pass and you finish your grad school, you've succeeded. You got your degree, you earned it. Now you go in out there and work. Whereas undergrad, you're working still, and you got to stay focused. So that's number one for undergrad. School's number one.
Right. Just right before we wrap up, just as a like a one last question, um, what would be your biggest piece of advice for girls specifically who are like maybe just in school in general
Mhm.
right now?
Girls in school, I would say, stay focused, be happy, know who you are, and don't let anybody take advantage of you. Okay? Because as a girl, it's easy to be taken advantage of. Lots of things are happening. In a lot of boys and girls are there without parents watching, and a lot of activity goes on where girls and guys interact with each other. Maybe they'll have a fling for a day, night, whatever it is. Be safe, protect yourself, Don't do stupid things. Don't go anywhere you don't feel comfortable going. Keep your head on straight. Focus while you're there. Don't lose the opportunity, and never think, what was I don't know how to say this correctly, because if there's a lot of opportunity to go out, the fraternity parties or other kind of parties, and there's a lot of opportunity for other people. A lot of things that go on right now are, people will drug somebody's drink, and then you
Yeah.
don't even know what happens. So you have to be safe. Take care of yourself. Focus on your schoolwork. Have fun. I'm making those comments because everybody should have fun. You're enjoying your independence as an adult for the first time. Learn. Don't do stupid things.
Right.
Right? That's
Well,
my advice.
thank you very much for coming on here as a guest. Um,
Thank you for
that's
having me.
pretty much it. Thank you very much. That's pretty much it for our first episode of Girls to Women.
Like,
Next week,
subscribe. Oh, sorry. Go
yes,
ahead.
please like and subscribe to our this podcast as well as our channel. And maybe if you're interested in stuff like this, please go check out our other two podcasts as well. Figuring it out on Fridays and Professionals of the Roundtable on Wednesdays. Both hosted by two or some very very good people. Um, and I believe that's it for this podcast. Next week we'll have another guest coming on, speaking about some other topic. But thank you very much for all of you listening, and all of you who will listen to this in the future.
Thank you. Bye.